Have you ever been humiliated in front of everyone, and in that moment, you realize you've had enough? What would you do if the person you loved most was the one who betrayed you? The grand ballroom in the ornate Grandwood Palace was alive with joy and celebration. Crystal chandeliers cast a soft glow over the elegant white and gold decor, and the sound of clinking glasses mixed with the laughter of well-dressed guests. Olivia stood near the towering 5-tier wedding cake, radiant in her white lace gown that hugged her figure perfectly. Her dark skin glowed under the lights, and her long curls cascaded down her back like waves of silk. She was breathtaking, the image of a perfect bride on her perfect day. Nathan stood beside her, tall and handsome in a sleek black tuxedo. His brown hair was carefully styled, and his green eyes sparkled as he smiled at her. The wedding planner, Amelia, approached with a beaming smile. "Time to cut the cake," she announced cheerfully, and the crowd gathered, phones raised, ready to capture the romantic moment. Nathan picked up the silver cake knife, his hand steady as he sliced a perfect piece of cake. Olivia smiled as he turned toward her, raising the piece of cake toward her lips. Her heart swelled. This was it, the symbolic gesture of their union, their first sweet moment as husband and wife. But then, Nathan's smile twisted into something sharp and cruel. Without warning, he slammed the cake into her face hard. The force knocked Olivia's head back. Icing and crumbs exploded in every direction, smearing across her carefully applied makeup and dripping down her cheeks. The crowd gasped. Olivia stumbled, her hand flying to her face. Her vision blurred as frosting and tears mixed together. Her breath hitched around her, whispers broke out, followed by loud, mocking laughter. Nathan's groomsmen doubled over, slapping each other on the back. Even Nathan's mother, Mrs. Roberts, had a hand over her mouth, stifling a smile that Olivia's sister, Jade, pushed through the crowd. "Are you serious?" she yelled, her eyes flashing with fury. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Nathan chuckled, wiping his hand on a napkin. "Relax," he said casually. "It's just a joke." Olivia's chest tightened, her pulse roaring in her ears. She searched Nathan's face for remorse, for anything, but all she saw was amusement. He didn't care. He thought it was funny. Her heart slammed against her ribs. And then came the humiliation, the cold, cutting realization that this wasn't just a prank. This was a betrayal. And everyone had seen it. Olivia sat alone in the bridal suite, clutching a towel as she wiped frosting from her face. Her hands were shaking. Her reflection in the mirror was almost unrecognizable. Streaks of ruined makeup, smudged mascara running down her cheeks, and pieces of cake still clinging to her hair. Her chest rose and fell rapidly as waves of humiliation and anger surged through her body. Jade stood nearby, her arms crossed, eyes blazing with rage. "I cannot believe he did that to you," she hissed. Olivia's mother, Marissa, stepped into the room, her expression dark. "I knew he was arrogant, but this was cruel." Olivia's phone buzzed on the vanity table. The screen lit up with notifications. She reached for it with trembling fingers and opened the first message. "Girl, are you okay? WTF? Did I just see? OMG, your wedding video is everywhere." Her stomach dropped as she tapped the link. A video was already trending. The exact moment Nathan smashed the cake into her face, replaying in slow motion. The comments were brutal. Why would she marry that guy? Red flag city. No way I'd let that slide. She should leave him immediately. Her face burned with shame as the number of views skyrocketed. Over 100,000 already. Olivia set the phone down, her breathing shallow. A knock on the door made her flinch. Nathan walked in, still smirking. He had changed out of his tuxedo jacket, but his tie was loosened, and his hair was slightly messy. "Hey, babe," he said, as if nothing had happened. "You're not still upset about that, right?" Olivia's eyes narrowed. "What do you want?" Nathan leaned against the doorframe, his grin never fading. "I thought we could just laugh it off. You know, lighten the mood. We're married now, it's supposed to be fun, right?" He stepped closer, his voice softening. "Come on, Olivia, don't be like this." But Olivia wasn't listening. Her body shook not from fear, but from the growing fire inside her. She stood up from the vanity, her expression hardening. "You think this is funny?" she asked, her voice trembling with controlled rage. You think humiliating me in front of everyone is a joke. Nathan's grin faltered for a moment, but he quickly recovered. Relax, it's just a bit of fun, Olivia. Don't take it so seriously. Olivia's heart pounded. She took a deep breath, steadying herself, before speaking again. It's not a joke, Nathan. And you've just crossed a line you'll never be able to uncross. Nathan raised an eyebrow, confused. What do you mean? Olivia walked past him toward the door, her gaze unwavering. You'll see soon enough, she said, her voice low, her tone filled with finality. As she stepped out into the hallway, the silence in the bridal suite felt like a distant memory. What happened next would change everything. And Nathan had no idea what was coming. Olivia stood still, her chest heaving with rage and humiliation as Nathan's mocking laughter echoed in her ears. She could feel the eyes of everyone in the room on her, the judgment, the whispers. Her perfect wedding had turned into a public spectacle, and it was Nathan's doing. He had humiliated her in front of all of their guests, making a mockery of everything they had promised to each other. But Olivia wasn't going to let him win. She wasn't going to cower. Jade was by her side in an instant, fury flashing in her eyes as she stood between Olivia and Nathan. You need to leave, Nathan, she snapped, her voice sharp and unwavering. Nathan's smirk faltered for a moment, but he recovered quickly. Come on, it was just a joke. You're overreacting, he said with a shrug, clearly unbothered by the chaos he had caused. Olivia's fists clenched at her sides, her body trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. A joke, she asked through gritted teeth. You humiliated me, Nathan. You made me feel like nothing in front of everyone. You think that's funny? Nathan scoffed. It's not that big of a deal. Relax. Relax. Olivia shot to her feet, her voice rising. You made me look weak. In front of my family, my friends, this is our wedding day, Nathan. And you turned it into a joke. Jade stepped forward, her arms crossed and her gaze steely. Leave. Now. Nathan opened his mouth to argue, but the intensity in Jade's eyes made him reconsider. With a frustrated grunt, he turned and stormed out of the room, slamming the door behind him. Olivia stood frozen for a moment, the sting of Nathan's betrayal still raw. She could hear the laughter of his friends and the gasps of the guests as the tension filled the air. But none of that mattered now. Olivia took a deep breath and wiped away the last remnants of cake from her face. You know what you need to do, Liv, Jade said softly, her hand resting on Olivia's shoulder. Olivia looked at her sister, her resolve hardening. I do. And I will. An hour later, Olivia walked back into the Grandwood Palace ballroom. She had refreshed her makeup, her hair now cascading in flawless curls around her shoulders, and changed into a sleek, fitted white jumpsuit that made her look every bit the confident, strong woman she was. As she entered the room, the music seemed to fade, and all eyes turned to her. Nathan, still holding a drink in one hand and laughing with his friends, froze when he saw her. Hey, babe, he called out with a smirk. Thinking the tension between them had passed, Olivia marched toward him, her heels clicking sharply on the polished floor. Without a word, she reached the DJ booth and grabbed the microphone from the table, her eyes never leaving Nathan's. Excuse me, everyone. Olivia's voice rang out, cold and clear, cutting through the chatter. I have something to say. Nathan's smile faltered, but he recovered quickly, stepping forward. Olivia, let's talk about this, he said, trying to calm the growing storm in the room. No. She cut him off, her voice firm. First of all, thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed the show Nathan put on tonight. She let the words hang in the air, her gaze sweeping across the stunned faces of their guests. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd, but Olivia wasn't done. I made a mistake today, she continued, her voice unwavering. I married a man who thinks humiliating me, the woman he claims to love, is funny. Who thinks treating me like a joke in front of my family and friends is acceptable. The room went deathly silent. Nathan's face drained of color as he opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. The guests stared at him, and for the first time, Olivia saw fear flicker in his eyes. I'll be fixing that mistake, Olivia said coldly. In one swift motion, she removed her wedding ring and threw it at Nathan's chest. Effective immediately. Gasps filled the room. Mrs. Roberts stood, clearly flustered. Olivia, maybe you're overreacting. Olivia's eyes flashed with fury. Overreacting, she repeated, her voice sharp. No, this isn't a reaction. This is justice. Nathan stepped toward her, his face flushed with anger. Olivia, come on. Without another word, Olivia grabbed the top tier of their wedding cake and, in one swift motion, slammed it into Nathan's face. The cake exploded on contact, frosting flying everywhere, and Nathan staggered back, coughing and wiping frosting from his eyes. For a moment, the room was frozen in shock. And then, as if on cue, Jade began clapping. Slowly, others joined in, and soon the entire room was applauding. Olivia stood tall, watching as Nathan fumbled to clean himself off, his face red with embarrassment. His friends were no longer laughing with him, but at him. Jade put an arm around Olivia's shoulders and smiled. Now that's what I call a show. Olivia gave a satisfied smile. I think this party is over. She turned toward the DJ. Cue Single Ladies by Beyoncé. As the beat dropped, Olivia stepped onto the dance floor, her friends and family following, cheering and laughing. Nathan stood frozen, still covered in frosting, as Olivia danced away from him to be by the end of the night. The video of Olivia's cake moment had gone viral. And this time, the comments were different. People weren't laughing at her. They were cheering for her. Justice had been served. Olivia sat in the back of a black car, the city lights flashing by as she sipped on a glass of champagne. Jade raised her glass. Here's to new beginnings. Olivia clinked her glass. And to knowing when to walk away. As they drove away from the wedding that almost was, Olivia smiled, the night ending exactly as it should have.